Hey you! Thank you so much for clicking on this video. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about sugar, especially processed sugar, and how big of a bitch can processed sugar really be. So in this video, I'm not really going to talk about the obvious things about sugar that we already know, like how eating too much sugar can give us diabetes, or how it can make our body gain weight and fat, and how difficult it is to reduce fat, all the stuff like that. I'm not really going to talk about all of the obvious stuff of sugar, but I wanted to shed some light on the lesser known or the lesser obvious facts about consuming too much processed sugar. And the lesser known facts about sugar are that sugar can directly lead us to depression and mood disorders, and it also results in this fungal infection called Candida. So I'm going to talk about these two things specifically. Not many people know about how sugar is linked with depression and how it builds this yeast infection called Candida. And through this video, I really wanted to shed some light on these two things about sugar. And oh, by the way, whenever I say sugar in this video, I mean processed and ultra processed sugar. Sugar that is found in packaged food like chocolates and ice creams and bakery items, which are packaged, of course, which have preservatives. Whenever I say sugar, I don't mean the naturally occurring sugars that are found in fruits and milk. So I'm talking about processed and ultra processed sugars here, which includes table sugar, of course, that we use in our teas and coffees. So talking about my relationship with sugar, it's not very healthy. I am more of a sweet tooth. I love indulging in sweets and foods containing ultra processed sugar, and this has been like that since childhood. So it's very hard for me to control my sugar cravings, and up until very recently I was consuming processed sugar every day in very high quantities. Even though I have been going to the gym for a long time now, it has been more than 2 years since I have been going to the gym, but this habit of mine, that is consuming sugar, has been so hard for me to control even in my fitness journey, that even after knowing about the ill effects of sugar, I was consuming sugar and huge quantities of it up until very recently. And at this point, I think this is a confession that I have been a sugar addict for the majority of my life. And just like an addict would completely neglect and completely turn a blind eye on all the negative effects that a substance has on the addict's body, I was doing the same thing. But then, up until very recently, I started feeling some symptoms within myself that were inexplicable for me. I could not really come to a conclusion as to why I'm feeling certain things, as to why I'm experiencing certain things. And later, I realized that it is because of the consumption of sugar that I am actually experiencing certain things. And these certain things that I experienced, they aren't really talked about quite often. People don't really know about it a lot. Even I did not know about the cause of those symptoms being sugar, because nobody really educated me on what sugar actually does and how big of a bitch it is. So let's talk about the first symptom that I was experiencing, and that was depression, especially morning depression. Up until 3 months ago, I was consuming a big bowl of ice cream every night. And that ice cream, by the way, it was not homemade ice cream, it was just some cheap ice cream from the general store. So I was consuming different flavors of ice cream every night before going to bed. And every morning that I woke up, I used to feel so lethargic. I used to feel like I don't want to get up from bed. It took me my life to just get my ass up from the bed. I felt mentally and emotionally so drained. And of course, physically drained as well, because after I would be awake, like my mind would be awake, I would still force myself to lie on the bed for at least 2 hours after I had been mentally awake. And those 2 hours, I was just wasting my time scrolling on my phone or just trying to gather that energy to just get up, like sit up and get out from the bed and just take a step away from the bed. It would literally take me 2 hours of anticipation and thinking that I have to get up, and gathering all that energy to just do this simple task of getting up. So I know how it feels like. Just the simplest of tasks seem so out of bounds, and you just don't want to do it. You just want to quit every day. And that is what I felt every morning. I did not really want to get up, to be very honest, because it would take me so much mental energy to just do a simple task of sitting up straight on my bed. And since it was so much mental work for me, I just didn't want to wake up another day. So yeah, that was what I was experiencing every morning, and I just couldn't figure out why. Like, I was having an adequate amount of sleep, like 6 to 7 hours of sleep, and then I would sleep for the extra 2 hours, trying to get more sleep, so forcing myself to lie down and sleep. So basically about 9 to 10 hours on the bed, and still I didn't feel energized at all. So why was this happening? So basically, this was really happening because of the sugar that I was consuming the last night before going to bed. Our body metabolizes sugar by a hormone called insulin. Insulin in our body helps to break down the sugar and convert it into energy that the body needs for the metabolic functioning. And since I used to eat so much sugar, especially processed sugar, in the night, that all my body would do while I was sleeping was trying to break down that ultra processed sugar to convert it into some form of energy. Now, ultra processed sugar, when broken down, I don't think that it releases as much energy as compared to natural sugars or carbs for that matter. And all the work that my body was doing just to break down that sugar through the night, it was amounting to literally nothing. My body had no energy from that ultra processed sugar that was broken down, and all the insulin in my body that worked to break down that sugar throughout the night resulted in an insulin crash in the morning. While I used to sleep every night, my body released an X amount of insulin to break down that sugar, but since that sugar was ultra processed, it amounted to nothing. So all that work went to waste. And then after doing the work, the insulin level would come down and would come to a crash. And that would happen in the morning when I would wake up. So it was like that. An insulin spike when I was sleeping, resulting in an insulin crash when I was awake. And because of this insulin crash, and since my body has already been so exhausted throughout the night, isn't it obvious that my body wouldn't have any energy? And since insulin is a hormone, my brain would have no energy in the morning. So yeah, after I realized that consuming sugar in the night is leading to insulin crashes in the morning, that made sense to me. That made me realize that my brain and body already worked so hard throughout the night, and that is why it doesn't have any energy in the morning to get me going. If you're someone who is consuming a lot of sugar and is dealing with depression and mood disorders and irritability or low energy levels all the time, I would request you to cut back on the sugar and then see your energy levels. You will definitely see positive changes in your energy levels as well as in your mood. I can guarantee you that for sure. This is what I experienced. I'm speaking from experience. Don't have sugar in the night, because sugar in the night will lead to depression in the morning. That is what I realized. That is what I learned from my experience. That is when I decided to not have any sugar in the night. If I want to have any sugar, I would have it by 4:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. max. After that, I will not touch sugar because I am too afraid to deal with the depression that it causes. Alright, so the second thing that I experienced with consuming a lot of sugar was CANDIDA. So whenever I talk about CANDIDA, not many people know about what it is. So I'll tell you about what it is. So Candida is actually a type of fungal infection. It is basically yeast infection inside the body. There are many different types of Candida, but what I know of is the type of Candida that can cause a mouth infection, like a mouth or oral cavity kind of infection within your throat and your mouth. Then there is Candida that causes skin infection. Then there is Candida that causes UTI and stuff like that. So what happens basically is when you consume a lot of sugar, the yeast that is naturally occurring in your body, it basically overgrows because yeast thrives on sugar. So when you're consuming a lot of sugar, you're giving the yeast in your body a lot of fodder to grow on, and that is how the yeast starts multiplying in your body. And when it reaches a level which is more than the threshold, that is when your body starts developing some kind of infection or something. The problem with this Candida thing is that it is like a vicious cycle. So the more sugar you consume, the more yeast you develop, and then the yeast that has overgrown in your body would ask for more sugar to grow more, and that is why you will get a lot of sugar cravings. So basically it's not you who is craving the sugar, but it's the yeast inside of you that is craving that sugar now. It becomes like this vicious loop. The more sugar you consume, the more yeast you grow, and then that yeast would want more sugar, then you would consume more sugar, and that keeps going on and on and on. It can lead to many infections within and outside of the body. I developed skin candida. So skin candida is basically rashes and itchiness in the moister parts of your body, the parts where sweat can accumulate. And back then when I developed it, I did not know what caused it really, because personally speaking, I am a very hygienic person. I take showers daily. I make sure to clean my towels, clean my bed. I'm not a dirty person, and I just couldn't really figure out what is causing the skin infection. Like, did I really touch someone? I don't really touch anyone. I keep myself at bay from everyone else. So why was this happening? To cure that skin infection, I tried many topicals, like that topical cream, antifungal cream, or the Neosporin powder and stuff like that, but nothing seemed to work. It was all itchy, it was leaving patches on my skin, and I just couldn't figure out how to cure this or how to stop this from happening. It was making me really concerned. How I got to know that it was Candida was when I stopped consuming sugar. And initially I stopped consuming sugar because of the morning depression problem, and with that I also saw that that fungal infection that I had developed, that also started disappearing after a week. And that is when I realized that, okay, these things that I was experiencing, things like morning depression and this fungal infection, that was because of the sugar. Because as soon as I quit on the sugar, it just took me a week to heal. So yeah, there's Candida for you. The next time, whenever you think of having a candy late in the night, remember, candy stands for Candida. So now, since that I told you that I am a sweet tooth, it's literally impossible for me to quit entirely on sugar and on the sweet stuff, because I am a human, I get cravings. A substitute that I have found that can replace this processed sugar in my diet is protein powders and protein shakes. Although protein powder is not 100% healthy alternative, it has like artificial sugars and binder agents and all the preservatives and stuff like that. But the thing about the additives in the protein powder is that those additives are not addictive. They're not addictive like how sugar is an addictive substance. Plus, protein powder is giving me my daily intake of protein, so that's a really good thing. It's also curbing my sugar cravings, which is a lot healthier option than curbing my sugar cravings with actual sugar. So yeah, if you're looking for an alternative to cut down processed sugar from your diet, I would say go for protein shakes, go for a good protein powder. Even if you're not hitting the gym every day, having protein is always a good thing. So you can always have a protein shake, irrespective of the fact that you go or don't go to the gym. It doesn't matter. That would actually help you live better when you grow older. So yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching if you watched till the end. I hope that through this video you learned something new and you learned how big of a bitch sugar actually is and on what level can it really affect you. So I hope that the time that you invested in this video was worth it. I'm really grateful for you and I wish you the best of health in life. With this, I'll see you soon. Till then, take care.